Welcome to This Week in High School Sports. I'm Teresa Whipple, and we are here, Steve Willits, to talk about almost the end of the sports season for spring, right?
We sure are, and we're also here to talk about Red
Our
Onion Burgers.
Our sponsor, and I understand we have samples,
We did
right?
bring a sample today. I stopped by Red Onion on the way here. We brought...
Mouth-watering. Take your look at these sliders. They're pretty amazing.
Yeah, and we did bring enough for the crew, so
Yep.
Eric and Chuck have already had a couple. And
everybody's happy.
I'm waiting until we're done here, and I will definitely be digging into those in a minute. So again, thank you, Red Onion Burger, for not only the sliders, but everything else you guys do for not only us, but for our bellies as well. We're always happy to eat over there at Red Onion on 212th and 44th in Mount Lake Terrace.
Yes, thanks, Sean Richards. And okay, we will now talk about track first, right?
Yeah, seasons in general are coming to an end right now. It's obviously the first week of May. Everything but softball is wrapping up their regular season this week, so it's kind of an interesting week. We will start off with track because we had in here just last week two of our athletes, Sarita Sakharov and Malia Pivic, who along with their teammates, Michaela Pivic and Jordan Edwards, were heading over to the Lake Washington Invitational, where they were going to try to attempt to break the state record in the 4x800 meter. Have an update. Good news, bad news. Bad news is they didn't break the state record. They came up 5 seconds short. The good news is that with their time of 9 minutes, 27 seconds, they were able to win rather handily. This was a meet in which 78 different schools were represented, so for them to win that was quite the accomplishment. Didn't break the record, but I think they still had an outstanding day. Michaela Pivic, by the way, also won the javelin competition over there. And Shanae Okoronkwo over from Mount Lake Terrace, she wins the triple jump with a jump of 41 feet and 11.75 inches. Shanae, the three-time defending state champion in the triple jump, looks like she might be on pace to get that fourth one this year.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm sure we'll be hearing more about her later.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, and so now, and we are going to do, my understanding, we did a track broadcast last week, right? And we're going to do another one this week?
We did. We broadcasted our first ever track meet for the Sound Live Sports Network. It was kind of our trial run, if you will. It was Mount Lake Terrace, Edmonds... no pun intended, right? Mount Lake Terrace, Edmonds-Woodway, and Shorecrest. They all took part in that meet. Some outstanding performances there. Edmonds-Woodway, really the storyline from that meet. They pretty much dominated the event, if you will. Should point out that some of the teams are using this more as a tune-up as we're getting ready for districts right now. This is a Shorecrest team that won the girls' state championship last year at the 2A. But nonetheless, nice performances. A couple of, or I should say a few Edmonds-Woodway athletes that I'll point out in particular. Sterling Mahan, Grant Whitcuff, who we've met before, Whitcutt, who's been in here for an interview, and Grady Oakson winning multiple events that day, so great job for them. And then we've got a big one coming up this Friday. We're going to broadcast the Edmonds School District meet. This is the final meet before the big districts tournaments come up next week. And so we're going to have all 4 schools in the school district, boys and girls, 5 p.m. Friday at Edmonds Stadium. So we certainly encourage people to get over there and watch it in person. But if you can't, we'll broadcast it on Sound Live Sports Network.
That's amazing. We haven't done much of that, so it's kind of fun to get into the track situation.
And a great year for it. We have so many great athletes who are not only have formerly won state championships, but are in contention this year. Yeah. And so maybe just a little bit of a taste as to what's to come as they all vie for state championships again this year.
Great. And so soccer is moving right along as well?
Soccer is moving right along. 2 more games for everybody, 2 more matches for everyone until the postseason play starts. Postseason starts on Saturday, by the way, and some big matchups coming up. Edmonds-Woodway and Lynnwood both have already made the playoffs, and now it's just a matter of them trying to get as high of a seed as they can. If you get one of the top 4 seeds, you get to host a playoff game at 2 p.m. on Saturday, so we'll kind of keep an eye on that. And oh, by the way, Edmonds-Woodway and Lynnwood play each other at Lynnwood High School on Wednesday night at 7:30. It's the final match of the season for them. Mount Lake Terrace and Meadowdale, they're still trying to get in on one of those final playoff spots. Very interesting matchup on Monday night. It's Mount Lake Terrace versus Oak Harbor. Top 7 teams in Wesco are going to make the playoffs. Those 2 are currently tied for 7th place. So there's a very good chance that whoever wins that match will probably get, or maybe get that final playoff spot. And that's a game that people can watch on the Sound Live Sports Network, 7:30 Monday night.
Okay, very good. And baseball season is going to be over on Tuesday?
Baseball season ends on Tuesday. Very interesting scenario playing out there right now is almost all of our teams have 2 games left, which will be Monday and Tuesday. A 2-game series against the same opponent. since we have an odd number of teams in our division, Edmonds-Woodway finished early, so this is their bye week. So Edmonds-Woodway is already sitting in the clubhouse, so to speak. They ended their season with a record of 11-7. Shorewood is 12-4, so Edmonds-Woodway can't catch them. What we need to watch right now is Lynnwood and Glacier Peak. They both have 10-6 records. So both of them could surpass Edmonds-Woodway this week. So Edmonds-Woodway is either going to finish in second, third, or fourth place. If you finish in second place, you get a home game, I think, on Saturday. Third place, you get to play a district game on Saturday. If you're in fourth place, I think you have to play a play-in game on Thursday or Friday just to make it into districts. So Edmonds-Woodway, more or less with their hands tied right now. Yeah. So that'll be kind of interesting. Meadowdale's another one to watch. Meadowdale has 2 games left against Mount Lake Terrace, Monday and Tuesday. Meanwhile, Glacier Peak is playing Shorewood Monday and Tuesday. Meadowdale only gets in if they win both of those games and if Glacier Peak loses both of theirs. If that scenario doesn't play out, then Meadowdale's season comes to an end on Tuesday. And while we're talking about Edmonds-Woodway, I should also mention we brought 2 of their star players in here this week to talk to them a little bit about not only the season that just passed, the regular season, but also what we can maybe expect from them in postseason play, as well as into 2017. These guys are both juniors. So without further ado, Nick Hull and Brandon Mitchell came in. We had a little discussion with them. While we run that interview, I'm going to enjoy a red onion slider.
All right.
And go.
As we just mentioned, the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors baseball team has completed their regular season. They finish off their year with a 13-7 overall record, 11-7 in league play. And with us right now, 2 of their star players. We've got Nick Hull and Brandon Mitchell, both juniors on the Warriors baseball team. And guys, first of all, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
I've got to start this off by reading some of these stats off because they're fairly impressive. Nick, I'll start with you. You pitch usually on Wednesdays. You're usually Tuesdays. I'm sorry.
Tuesday, yeah.
You start off the week. You've pitched 6 complete games in a row now out of your 7 games you've pitched this year.
Yeah.
ERA of 1.14. You haven't given up an earned run in over 3 starts now, which is pretty darn good in itself. You threw a no-hitter back on March 29th against Shorecrest. Should mention you struck out 15 in that game too. 57 strikeouts in 41 innings this year. You threw a 1-hitter against Lynnwood. I could go on and on and on. It's impressive stuff. And oh, by the way, when you get to bat, which is not as often as you might like, but when you do, you're batting .304 on the year. And then Brandon, I turn to you, and you've got a 1.77 ERA going into the week last week. 5-1 record overall. You've pitched 2 shutouts. You struck out 40 in 31 innings. And as if that's not enough, when you're not pitching, which is usually on Fridays, you're playing shortstop, and a darn good one at that. A .375 batting average, .507 on-base percentage. You lead the team in walks, doubles, triples. Boy, I almost don't even need to do an interview. I can just read the stats there. Guys, congratulations on what's been a great season so far.
Thank you.
I think for starters, now that we've read your stats, I'm going to talk to each one of you about the other player. Have you guys tell me what the strengths of each one is, and let me know what that's meant to the team so far this year. Nick, I'll start with you. Talk to me about the pitcher / shortstop here.
Well, Brandon just does it all. He's always shows up as a leader. People come to our games, they know he's a leader on the field. When he's pitching or hitting or playing shortstop, he's always letting the defense know how many outs there are. He's quick pace when he's pitching, keeping the batters off balance. He can do it all. And
I've got to think, as a starting pitcher, it's nice for you to have a guy like this back behind you, right?
Yeah, I know I can throw some low fastballs and let Brandon take care of it.
And he scoops them up. Brandon, let's talk about Nick a little bit. We just mentioned those stats. What's he like to play with?
Yeah, he's real consistent on the mound. He has a great mental attitude, whether we have 10 runs or no runs yet. His body language, his mental game is all the same. So earlier in the season, he said, "Get me 1 run and we'll win the game." And I believe that when he's on the mound. So
it's worked for the most part. Hey, really, baseball is a 3-game-a-week sport. You need 3 great pitchers because, quite frankly, you can only pitch once a week, especially with you guys, the way you're throwing complete games all the time. I think between the 2 of you, you've only had 3 relievers come in and make appearances during the season. What has it been like to have the 2 of you and Brady Edwards, who pitches in the middle of the week, having a 3-man rotation like that? What's that been like for you guys this season, Nick?
Well, at least the thing I like about it is that we know ahead of time when we're throwing so we can get ready and prepared days before. It's like since I pitch on Tuesdays, I know I got to get ready on Saturday, and then I'm throwing my pregame bullpen on Monday. So it's nice, and I get to relax on Monday practice. I'm not throwing a ton. It's nice.
It works for you.
Yeah.
And Brandon, I'll ask you, we were joking about it a little bit beforehand, and we know Brady. We've had him in here for an interview and have covered him a lot during the other sports seasons for basketball and whatnot. You guys were talking, I asked you if there's any kind of friendly rivalries amongst the pitchers. You guys talked that you have a little competition, or you give each other a hard time when somebody needs a reliever, right? Is that kind of the way it's gone so far this year?
Yeah, Brady tends, I know he doesn't tend to, but he's used a reliever more than me and Nick, I guess, and yeah, we kind of give him a hard time for that.
So a lot of good ribbing, but everybody seems to respect one another, and it's a great season for all
Brady's
three of you. Talk to me a little bit about this season. Again, you've won 13 games so far. It was an 8-12 season last year for Edmonds-Woodway. They missed the playoffs. What's been the biggest difference so far this year? Nick, maybe I'll start with you on this one.
Well, last year I feel like our team wasn't as close as far as not just out of baseball activities, but in practice and in the game, everyone respects each other this year and cheering each other on. Whereas last year we might be like, oh, this guy's not going to get a hit. But this year we have a different attitude. We think everyone can get on base every time they get up, and I believe that.
Brandon, have you noticed a lot of the same things with this team this year?
Yeah, we our chemistry has definitely improved greatly since last year. Last year I saw a lot of different clicks, I guess, on the team, and this year we only have one click, and it's to win every game.
Now, interesting scenario playing out this week. You guys are in a 7-team division, so one team always has to have a bye while the other teams are playing. As it turns out, you guys get the bye week on the final week of the regular season. So you guys are completely done playing for regular season baseball. Mm-hmm. Everybody else in your division has 2 games left this week. You're sitting, I guess, technically in second place right now, but it's very interesting in that you have a 1-game lead in the win column over both Glacier Peak and Lynnwood. Mm-hmm. This is for second, third, and fourth place. Lynnwood plays Shorecrest this week in 2 games. Shorecrest hasn't won a game yet this year in league play, so we're assuming that Lynnwood probably finishes ahead of you guys in second place. Then it really comes down to the Glacier Peak series against Shorewood. Again, Shorewood's in first place, so things might be kind of interesting. What does it mean for you guys? I guess maybe we'll start with you, Brandon. Talk to me a little bit about, first and foremost, are you happy to have a bye right now, or does it take you out of your rhythm? And then maybe, Nick, after that, I'll ask you how much you guys are really going to be paying attention to those games on Monday, Tuesday while you're off. So first of all, what does the bye mean to you guys right now?
The bye is actually kind of important to us because we have a few players that are injured. Joe Yoda, our starting second baseman, he has some muscle spasms in his back that he needs to rest for. And then Dustin Chartrand, our third baseman, and Costa Cooper, our catcher, they both had fevers and maybe the flu this past week. So they were not as healthy as they should be. And they're very important players that help us win games. So
coming at an optimal time then for you guys, really.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good break.
Sure. And Nick, now that you're not playing Monday or Tuesday, are you guys scoreboard watching this week?
Definitely. It's not as important to me because I feel like we can beat any team we play.
Good answer.
Especially I have confidence that I can beat any team as well if I'm pitching. But I'll definitely be texting my buddies on each team and figuring out how they're doing.
Sure. So the playoffs do start next week. It's an 8-team district playoff. At the very least, you're assured of playing in the play-in game. So there might be a 9th team that makes it if Ferndale has a good enough record. You guys could be in that play-in slot, so you might have to play a game later on this week. If not, then you'll have to play on Saturday in what's a double elimination tournament. How are we feeling about our chances this year going into that tournament, Brandon?
I'm feeling really good about this year. Like you said, our starting rotation is really strong. I have confidence in all of our pitchers. One thing we need to work on is hitting with runners in scoring position, but I'm sure that's mostly mental, and we can get that down this week.
Sure. Nick, what about you going into the playoffs? What things do you guys need to work on, and how confident are you?
Well, as Brandon mentioned, the mental part, we seem to turn up the intensity in the last couple innings rather than the whole entire game, which is something we need to work on, and getting the first guy on, because we're a really good bunting team. So if we get the first guy on, we usually score.
That's all you guys need to do. And we don't want to certainly overlook the playoffs because that's an important part of what's coming up for you this season. But you are both juniors, so while I've got you in here, fairly young team. What does 2017 look like for Edmonds-Woodway? Are you guys have you guys already started to kind of think a little bit about what the senior season might look like?
Yeah, we have a lot of good freshmen this year. Our JV team is probably half or 3/4 freshmen, and a lot of those guys played on the Little League World Series team last year or a couple years ago. I think it was.
Right. Yeah.
So those guys they've progressed a lot, especially playing on JV this year. So we have a couple freshmen throwing in the 80s already. So next year as sophomores, they'll be big for our pitching rotation and hitting next year.
Nick, what about you? What do you think? Or Brandon, what do you think about next season?
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to next season. Yeah, like Nick said, we have a young team coming up. Yeah, I think a lot of the players that are leaving, the seniors that are going to be leaving next year, they're going to be filled with good players too. So it'll even out.
So there you go. So that's a little sneak preview into 2017, but we are far from done with 2016. These guys have a big week coming up later on this week. We're hoping on Saturday when they actually make it into the district playoffs and then beyond. Brandon, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Nick, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll keep watching these Warriors throughout the rest of the season and give you reports as to how they're doing.
Well, with pitching like that, it seems like the Warriors have a pretty good shot at advancing. And you got a little mustard right there. Okay, very
Can't
good.
have that. Yeah, no, indeed. They like I said, they've already advanced to the playoffs. It's just a matter of where they'll be seated. And really, when you get to the playoffs, you need a pitching staff. You need more than one pitcher. And to have three of them like that with both Nick and Brandon as well as Brady Edwards could take the Warriors a long way this year.
Yeah, that's right. And I understand we had another person in the studio who is a softball standout in her own right.
Yeah, apparently it was junior week here. It was class of 17 because we brought in an outstanding softball player, Maddie Morgan, who plays for Lynnwood. We'll have that interview in just a moment. We should probably talk about some of the other teams first.
Yeah.
It was a very weird and unpredictable week in softball. Quite frankly, I've never seen anything like it. We talked about Meadowdale quite a bit here on this show over the last couple of months. Meadowdale came into the week undefeated. Not only undefeated, but they were blowing everybody out. They lost 2 games this week. They lost to Oak Harbor, a team that had only won 3 games all year. They lost 11-2, and we kept thinking that was a typo. We were seeing it all night on Twitter, assuming that they were going to change it. They never did. And then Mount Lake Terrace on Friday. Meadowdale played the Hawks. Meadowdale was up 7-3 going into the 6th inning. Hawks scored 5 runs to come back and win. So Meadowdale goes down twice this week. Another interesting game that took place was Stanwood, who had really been struggling all season. They beat Glacier Peak 12-0. Glacier Peak then turned around and beat Edmonds-Woodway. And why we mention that is because there's now a huge logjam for the top 4 spots. Meadowdale still has the first place record with 11-2. We then have a 3-way tie for 9-4 with Glacier Peak, Edmonds-Woodway, and Mount Lake Terrace. Top 4 teams make it. 5 games left in the season, and then we do have the Lynnwood Royals, who are 4 games back. Lynnwood's been battling injuries all year long. They're finally starting to get healthy. They're certainly going to need to have an outstanding week just to have any chance and to hope that one of those teams ahead of them comes crashing down back towards them. But certainly Lynnwood not mathematically eliminated. And we brought in Maddie Morgan to talk to us this week. Maddie is a junior. She's listed as one of the top 100 softball players in the class of 17 in the country. Heading to the University of Alabama to play softball, and just a great interview, a lot of energy. Here's the interview with Maddie Morgan. And in keeping with our theme with impressive junior athletes in the area, we have another one with us right now, Maddie Morgan, who plays softball over at Lynnwood. And Maddie, I'm going to do with you what I did with the Edmonds-Woodway baseball players we interviewed a few moments ago. Well, look at your stats here really quick. Impressive numbers. You are 22 for 33 on the season, so you're batting .667, on-base percentage of .725, 5 doubles, a triple, 5 home runs, and again, this is all in 33 at-bats. 22 RBI, not to mention you've missed 5 games with a concussion, and you've come back from that. First of all, I guess I should ask, how are you feeling after the concussion? We were broadcasting that game a few weeks ago, and how are you feeling right now?
I'm definitely feeling a lot better. It's great to come back and just play my game and just everything. It's just been awesome.
You've had a very successful career at Lynnwood. One difference I did notice between last year's stats and this year's stats, the home run total is up. Have you been doing anything different swinging the bat, or is that just kind of a year of growth and getting a little more acclimated to playing the game?
I think it's just a year of growth. I'm definitely working out a lot more, so I've gotten a lot stronger. And my attitude up the plate is I'm just trying to keep it simple. I'm not trying to do too much, and then if the home runs happen, that happens.
You'll take them then.
Yeah.
One other thing we should mention, Maddie was recently named to the Flow Softball Online magazine, which is the big magazine for softball. She was named one of the top 100 softball recruits in the nation for 2017. She's number 80 on that list. You also have already committed to playing softball at the University of Alabama. A lot of folks around here think of Alabama as a football school, but it's certainly not. It's a very storied softball program as well. I guess the question needs to be asked, how does somebody from Lynnwood, Washington end up at the University of Alabama.
Well, I mean, it all starts with just getting noticed, getting recognized. And with my select team, we are very competitive and we travel out of state all the time. And I was just at the right time, at the right tournament, and they were watching, and I did everything I could, and they got their eye.
And you must have been very impressed with them as well, committing as a freshman and not even waiting through the process. What was it about Alabama that really just drew you in and made you say, you know what, this is where I'm going?
Well, definitely about everything about Alabama just caught my eye. Their coaches, the atmosphere there, the campus, everything about Alabama just said, wow, like it was just all me. And I'm just talking about it gives me chills. It's just amazing.
Sure, and I know that Pat Murphy, the longtime coach at Alabama, we're talking with your mom a little bit before the interview, and she mentioned that he is very much a recruiter of high character. That means a lot to him. What does that mean to you as far as an athlete going to a school?
It means a lot because I feel like I will strive. I'll be. Oh man.
No, you're doing fine. You want to be a part of that group.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Yeah. Now let me talk to you a little bit about some of the other recruits. You and I were talking also off camera. You mentioned that social media has enabled you to get to know some of your future teammates as well as the current Alabama players.
Definitely.
How much contact do you have with some of them, and how much do you talk about how excited you all are to be going there pretty soon?
Me and my future teammates talk almost every day, and we already have that team chemistry, and I'm so excited to play with them.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, before you get there, though, you've got a little more time left at Lynnwood.
Oh, definitely.
So we're going to keep that season going here. I know it's been a little bit of a rough season for you. Again, we mentioned your concussion and your injury. Daisha Lester, who's your main pitcher at Lynnwood, she's also been out with a broken wrist this year, which means that you, who normally play shortstop, you've had to pitch a lot more this year.
Yeah.
What's that experience been like for you?
I've been absorbing that and just leading my team on my back. And if the team needs it, I'm willing to do it and carry the team.
And I know Coach Sarah Hall's mentioned that it makes you very selfless to go ahead and do whatever needs to be done, really, and where the team needs you, and that's where they have, and you've stepped into that role rather nicely. Daisha coming back soon from that injury?
Yes, we are expecting her to come back very soon.
Okay, so we'll look forward to seeing Daisha again. I know because of that, it's been a little bit of a rough season for you. You haven't had quite the record and the success you wanted to have this year. How's the team doing overall, though? Is everybody still having a good time, enjoying softball?
Yeah, we all have high, we're all
excited about it?
We're all very excited about it. We're just playing and we're fighting for that spot in districts. We all have, we're all
good chemistry on the team.
Yeah, definitely.
Do people get along? I know a lot of times when teams start to lose, they kind of start to break apart a little bit. What's the attitude been like?
Very positive. We're just trying to keep it positive and have fun with it.
Sure. And you guys are a young team, too. There's only 4 seniors on the team. What does next year look like for Lynnwood? I mean, it's a lot of players coming up through the pike.
Yeah, we have a couple of strong JV players that are coming up, and which should make our team very strong next year.
So they're going to finish out this season strong. She's going to keep adding to these numbers, we hope. Again, 667 batting average and 5 home runs and 33 at-bats. That's a home run every 6.6 at-bats, so not too shabby there. Maddie, continued success for you. We're going to continue to follow you this year, next year, and all the way to Alabama, and go Crimson Tide, right?
Yes, roll Tide.
Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
Well, Maddie Morgan has got a lot going for her and for the Royals. It should make them a real competitive for next year as well.
Yeah, and certainly, again, we don't want to rule out this year. They do have a big week coming up, 4 games total, 3 of which are against Edmonds School District teams. Lynnwood goes to Edmonds-Woodway on Tuesday. They're home against Mattlick Terrace on Wednesday, and then on Friday they go to Meadowdale. So if nothing else, with Maddie being healthy, with Daisha being healthy, they could certainly play the role of spoiler down the stretch.
Yeah, okay. And we've got some other wrap-up to do, right, on other sports coming up?
Yeah, we didn't touch much this week on tennis or golf. Tennis wraps up their season on Tuesday. 3 of our schools wrap up on Monday. Mattlick Terrace has a match on Tuesday as well. And then they head over to district play next Tuesday, so that would be on December 10th. And then golf, very similar. They will have their districts the following week. So we'll keep an eye on those sports, but really a lot of the news that will come out of both of those will be further on down the road into middle of May.
And I have to correct you because you did say December 10th. Maybe you're getting ready for Christmas already.
If only, right? No, I can't wish the sunshine away, so we won't do that. No, certainly a May 10th is what I meant.
All right. I know somebody was going to email us about that if I didn't say something.
And I wouldn't blame them. I can't be much further off than that, right?
That's
It's
all right.
6 months down the road.
Yeah, tennis in December.
Yeah, it doesn't work around here.
No, no.
Certain states, yes, not so much in Seattle.
Right, okay. Well, thanks again for joining us, and we'll be back again next week with more high school sports and maybe some more burgers, who knows?
And postseason play. Stay tuned.
That's right.